Senator Biden, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you very much.
I'm happy to be
for
with you,
your time.
Good to talk to you.
What did you think? Good to talk with you too. What did you think of Governor Palin's speech last night?
Well, because we were flying, I only caught the last 2/3 of it because my plane didn't get in. She started while I was still in the air. I thought she had a great night. I thought she had a very skillfully written and very skillfully delivered political speech, and I was impressed with her. I was also impressed with what I didn't hear. I didn't hear a word mentioned about the middle class or health care or about how people are going to fill up their gas tanks. I didn't hear a single word about how you're going to get our kids to college. So I was impressed with the speech, but I was also impressed with what I didn't hear spoken.
Did you hear enough of her views? I know you said going into the speech that you wanted to hear not as, yes, about her, but that you couldn't really form an opinion, and the American people couldn't form an opinion until you heard more of her views as opposed to John McCain's views. Well, are you satisfied?
The bottom line here is, Robin, there wasn't the phrase middle class was not mentioned once. The economic plight of the hole that the Republicans had dug us into so deeply over the last 8 years economically and internationally was not mentioned. There was no specific plan as to how they're going to get out of that hole. And even on energy, we were still talking about drill. Well, we're not opposed to drilling the Outer Continental Shelf. It's already going on now, but we have a serious plan that's going to get us to energy, at least be independent from the very people that finance the people who attacked us, because we've laid out a plan how we're going to move alternative energy. We're going to spend $150 billion, $10 billion a year. We're going to create 5 million new green jobs. But the thing that amazed me about the speech was, but I understood it, they don't want to defend the past, and they don't have any clear picture of what they're going to do for the future. John McCain is a great hero. John's my friend. I don't know a single other person I've ever met who is heroic as John McCain was, and we grant him that. But we need more than a good soldier and a brave American. We need a wise leader.
You say those kind things about John McCain. You've said those in the past because he is a good friend of yours. Sarah Palin went after Barack Obama. Do you need to change your tone to get your point across?
No, I'm not going to change my tone. Look, there's certain things that are deeper than politics. I'm not going to change my tone because the way I feel about John McCain, I feel about him. John and I have always had, not always, we've had intense disagreements on policy. We've got on the Senate floor and we've been hollering at each other over everything from Amtrak to Afghanistan. And but I'm not going to change my tone about John McCain. I think it's just kind of sad the way they went after Barack Obama. I mean, here's a guy who, in fact, I watched this guy when he hit the Senate. In 2 years in the Senate, the first 2 years, I mean, this guy lit the place up. This guy was the main engine behind the most significant ethics reform that we've seen in since Watergate. This is the guy who reached over to Dick Lugar and took on the big issues. And Dick Lugar is probably the most qualified guy in the United States Congress, maybe in the country, on foreign policy and arms control. And he reached over and he worked out an agreement whereby it's going to be harder for terrorists to get their hands on nuclear weapons. I mean, so we're going to have a chance to lay out Barack's record, and Barack's record is real. The fact that Barack is not my age and didn't have as much chance to do as much as John and I have done or didn't do is irrelevant. It's about his leadership qualities, and this guy's for real. And Barack Obama has some steel in his backbone. He knows what he's about. He knows where he's going to lead this country, and he's laid out. And his record shows every day from the time we know anything about him. Everything about him has been positive. Everything about him has been about change for the better. Everything about him has been commitment to his country. And I think the public will see through these kind of, And by the way, they're good, funny lines. I got to admit, I'm glad they weren't about me. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, "Whoa, look at that zinger," and they were well delivered.
Well, then you did miss some of the speech. Then you did miss some of the speech because they did have some things to say at your expense. Actually, Rudy Giuliani did. But I want to ask you about.
Oh well, Rudy. Rudy. I know Rudy. Remember, I said all Rudy ever did he talk about anything but 9/11? You usually, as I said, the noun, a verb, and this guy it's 9/11. I mean, everything's about 9/11 with Rudy, but if he did more than that, but he's a good guy. We're used to this stuff, Rudy and I.
And a final question. We've talked to Cindy McCain, and we're going to hear her conversation with Diane in just a moment. And she charged sexism. She said that the media, our remarks toward Sarah Palin have been sexist.
The truth is, some of the stuff that the press has said about Sarah and others have said about the governor, I think, are outrageous. And I just think the way the governor handled it has been. I've been admiring of the way she's handled it. And I think this stuff about how can she be a governor and a vice president, raise 3 kids? Come on. That's whoever those folks are don't know any strong women. They haven't lived in a household like mine, where my wife, raised our kids, dealt with my career, taught full time. She's in a classroom today, right now, and she earned her doctorate at night. Or my whole family. So I just think some of the stuff said has just been over the top, totally unfair, and I think it has been sexist. And I think the way the governor's handled it has been admirable.
Well, Senator Joe Biden, thank you very much for your time this morning, and we'll see you out there on the campaign trail. Have a good day.
Great to talk to you. Thank you very much.